we're revamping our protection program, and our entire sales staff wants something to do with auto glass in our main program that we sell. And they sell a lot of it. And he goes, do you want to talk about that? And like inside, I'm like freaking out, like, oh my gosh. And I was just, but on the outside, I'm like, yeah, sure, we can talk about that. What's your schedule look like? Let's see what we can, put together.
Welcome to High Trust Professionals, a podcast where we interview top industry and community leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs from across the country. Hear what it takes to build trust, be a respected leader, be productive, and win your day. Sit back and relax as we dive into another episode of High Trust Professionals podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to High Trust Professionals podcast. I am your host, Lynette Arrasmith. Today, I have with me my friend Bret Stephens, and he is with Invictus Mobile Auto Care. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. You bet. I'm so glad we met that day.
For sure.
You know, the benefits of networking.
Yep.
Being out and about and meeting new people and hearing other people's stories, and that's how Bret and I met. And I thought, you have a story to tell. And I think that it's something we can learn from. And also, I really wanted just to kind of get this message out with what you do with your company.
Awesome.
Yeah. So first tell us, we know, I said the name of the company, obviously. And so we know who you are. Your role and position exactly is what?
So I am the owner and the founder. I also have a business partner down in Kansas City. He does Invictus Auto Glass.
Oh,
so
in Kansas City?
Just in Kansas City, yep. And then we also own a separate company that does like vehicle service contracts, appearance protection plans for automotive dealerships and stuff like that. So. And
now you know why I invited Bret, because wow, are we going to have a lot to talk about?
Yeah.
So owner and founder, I feel like if you had hair, you do a little flip.
Yes.
I love that. And I know you've been, and we'll get into kind of all the, the menu of options, which I think is great. And 10 years experience and business, family owned. But let's talk about you first.
Yeah.
So before you decided that, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit off camera, guys. And Bret was telling me how he's had a plethora of jobs.
Quite a few.
In your lifetime, which is great. And the quote that I actually wrote down, I'm a very hard worker, but a terrible employee. So that is,
it's true.
I wrote that down. So tell us a story that would kind of lean into that statement.
So, number one, there's nothing wrong with being an employee. The world needs them.
Absolutely.
I am just
100%.
Not one of those I'm one of those birds that don't belong in that particular cage. But I worked for a large automotive dealership. I've been in the car business since I was 15 years old.
Okay.
Started out with a small family-owned dealership in a detail department and kind of grew into working for a larger corporation, like a nationwide company. And we had a family trip planned, our entire family. Mm-hmm. And they made the announcement that production levels were going up and so that there's going to be blackout dates and you can't request any time off. Well, the time off where these blackout dates was when I was going to be on the trip with my family. And I had worked myself up into a leadership position at that time. And so I was in charge of like 30 people. And fairly important for me to be there, but like my family is more important than any job or any business will ever be. My family comes first.
So you were an employee.
I was an employee at the time.
You were in a leadership role.
I was in a leadership role.
Responsible for others.
Yes.
And you had a vacation plan.
Yes.
Absolutely understand that.
Yes.
Business is booming. You've got blackout times because we need you. Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
I walked into my boss's office, just said, "Hey, you got a sec?" And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely, sit down." And so I just said, "Hey, I know you just announced these blackout dates this morning." I go, "But my entire family had a vacation plan around that time, and I'm going to do that." He goes, you can't." I go, I most certainly can.
And I will.
And I will.
And you did.
And he goes, "Well, if this is the choice you're going to make, you're going to be on a corrective action, which is kind of like you're under the thumb and like you make one more mistake and you're done, you're out." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Cool, I'll sign the paperwork when I get back." And he just sat there and stared at me and he goes, "You're serious?" I said, yeah, I go, my family's more important than my job. And
As it should be.
yeah, and I just said, we've had this plan for a while. I
Mm-hmm.
go, and I understand that things are, demand is high right now, but I'll talk to a couple of the other guys. I'll ask them to step in for me, and I will make sure that you don't have to worry about it, and I'll make sure that everything is covered while I'm gone. And
Excellent.
he still didn't like it,
Of course not.
and I got put on a corrective action. I signed the paperwork when I got back, and we had a fantastic time away.
Awesome. Very excellent. Well, I mean, there's good and bad to that story, right?
There is. I don't recommend
Yeah,
everybody
right.
do that, but it's just kind of always been the way that I'm wired. And like I will if I'm working for somebody, I will be a very, very hard worker. But just the way I've always been wired, hey, if I'm done for the day, then why do I still have to stay here? Like, what are we doing?
Sure.
You
Right.
know?
Well, but sometimes I think being a hard worker, and like you, a lot of people go through ebbs and flows of jobs before they find their thing. And you
Yes.
can be such a hard worker and like, oh my God, it's just not fulfilling, maybe.
Yep.
I'm not getting what I want. You're not getting what I need. And so you start your own business.
Yep.
And as long as you're a hard worker, most of the time,
Yeah.
there's success.
Yep.
But sometimes, what's that quote? The overalls quote.
Oh, most people skip over opportunity because it's disguised in overalls and looks like hard work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes we got to put on our overalls
Mm-hmm.
and or our big girl or big boy pants and
Yep.
and just get her done, right?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, and working all those jobs that entire time, I always had something on the side because I've always been entrepreneurial. But I think what I struggled with is what a lot of people struggle with is that jump is
Yeah,
scary.
Sure it is.
Because I had a fantastic paycheck. I had fantastic benefits. Like the golden handcuffs is what a lot of people in like good corporate jobs call it.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic company. I loved everybody. I still have two of my closest friends are from that company.
Mm-hmm.
And making that jump is very scary. But the way corporations do work, they reorganized.
Sure.
We were told that our positions were safe because our management was told that our positions are safe. That wasn't the case. We got laid off. And, then I was out looking for something else to do. Well, I was doing my side hustle stuff. I was doing anything I could. I called myself a carny. Like whatever you needed done, I'll do it if you're paying money.
If you're paying,
I had bills to pay, man.
Not like Kearney, Nebraska.
No.
Like I'm a carny.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to take whatever work I can.
Exactly.
So let's kind of fast forward.
Yeah.
The name.
Yeah.
Where did the name Invictus come from?
My business partner actually had this as an LLC for a while, but we're both faith-based men. Invictus is actually Latin for unconquerable, and there is a saying that we base our company off of, and that is Invictus per Christum solum, and that is unconquerable through Christ alone.
Wow.
So we base all of our principles off of. We're not saying like we're going to force you to read Bible verses and and do all that stuff, but we are faith-based men. We run our businesses off of biblical principle.
Mm-hmm.
And Invictus kind of stemmed from, well, he had it, number one, and then him and I have been in a couple of different projects together, where we've done business together, we've taken our licks together, and kind of. One deal was one way and then the deal got changed. So we've kind of been through the ringer together and we're still here, still trying to figure something out. So I was like, dude, let's keep that.
I love that.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah.
You're still together. You're still partners. You're still friends.
Yep.
And that's amazing, when you go through thick and thin and you kind of do it together. I love that. So fast forward, how and when did you get started?
So we started with an auto glass company. This company actually started out as just an auto glass company. It was called Security Auto Glass. They are based out of Michigan, and we were my partner and I were in a direct sales company together, actually. And the gentleman that owns this company was also part of that company. He wanted to expand nationally.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody up on his team up there really wanted to do it just yet with him. So he started kind of like looking out. Like, hey, who else can I find? Ended up connecting with my business partner, and my business partner thought it was a fantastic idea. And the owner of Security Auto Glass said, hey, do you know of anybody else who would be interested in opening up a market? And he goes, well, yeah, I got my friend Bret. And I think,
pick me.
yeah. And so he kind of gave me the gist of it, and I was like, yeah, let's meet with him. And Kevin is very laid back, cool as a cucumber. My business partner, cool as a cucumber. I'm like the hard driver, straight to the point. So like when I met with Larry, I was just like, hey man, Kevin told me a little bit about it. Like, what do you got? What are we doing? And Larry,
give it to me. Give it to me.
Yeah,
no fluff.
Yeah. And Larry, who owns Security Auto Glass, he's phenomenal. He's fantastic, but he's like this super bubbly, outgoing dude and wants to give like all the fluff. And I'm kind of like about halfway through it, I'm like, okay, this sounds great, but like, what do we actually do? I'm like, that all sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
But eventually we got it.
Get down to the brass tacks.
Yeah, and eventually we got there. So we opened that up. We partnered with one of the largest automotive dealer groups here. Had some independent contractors on their service drives, and they would just inspect windshields. Hey, does it need repaired, replaced? Can we put a protective coating on it? And they would sell that, and we would pay a host commission to that dealership just for letting us be there. So we were kind of just an income producing asset for them. And everything was going great. We were getting ready to expand into 12 of their dealerships. COVID hit and just kind of halted those plans. And we were kind of going through whatever we go through, thank God for the PPP loans. It helped me pay for my guys. It helped me, keep the business afloat while we were going through some of that stuff. And towards the end of it, when people were kind of starting to get back into things, were still up and down. My guys are all on commission. They were just like, hey, dude, a couple of them had families, and we're just like, I got to do what I got to do.
Of course.
Totally get it. So I thought I was losing that business. We had a protection program that we also partnered with this dealership on that they were selling up in sales. That wasn't performing really well, or as well as either side would want. So yeah, I just thought we were losing that business. And so I got my real estate license and spent the $3,000 to, get all that stuff. And I had every intention of calling at the time, the guy who was director of kind of the finance and insurance department, and just tell him like, hey, this sales program isn't performing like we want it to, probably not like you want it to. So I called him and he goes, oh, you know what? I was actually going to call you tomorrow. We're revamping our protection program, and our entire sales staff wants something to do with auto glass in our main program that we sell. And they sell a lot of it. And he goes, do you want to talk about that? And like inside, I'm like freaking out, like, oh my gosh. And I was just, but on the outside, I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. We can talk about that. What's your schedule look like? Let's see what we can, put together.
The cool Kevin comes out in Bret.
Right. Okay. That's right.
I love it.
So that took off. We're still involved in that program.
That's
amazing. Still got a great relationship. But from that, I said, okay, if this is going to happen, I got to dive back in all in. I know my mom and dad have been doing real estate since 2008, and I joined their team. I think I did like 2 or 3 houses. I forget. But I was like, hey, I know I just spent $3,000 doing this, but here's the opportunity I have. Here's where I can see it growing. Here's kind of my ideas. And they're just like, I think you need, go after it. Yeah, absolutely go after it. They actually helped with some of the startup capital because they kind of saw my idea and where I wanted to take it. And we're here. We officially launched August 1st of 2022. So we're getting ready to turn 1 year old. And
so here's what's interesting to me. So of course I poked around on your website a little bit, which was, and I mean, your menu of services. I mean, you just drill around. You're like, okay, well, what if I need this and what if I need that? I mean, it's pretty long. So, and you know what, our listeners and our viewers can go to the website. Of course, it's invictusmobileautocare.com. But of all the things, so auto glass, windshield repair, window tinting.
We are currently looking to partner with a company to sub out to.
Perfect.
For window tinting. Yeah.
Remote car starters.
Yep. We have a company that we partner with on that.
Interior repair.
Yep.
Like what? Like, give me an idea of what that would be.
So like a leather seat repair.
Yeah. Like if I rip my seat.
Yep. If you rip your seat, if you need an entire interior re-dye, I have a very good friend who owns a company that does all that stuff. So we've worked out a deal to where I'm basically his sales force. He throws me business too.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at you like you're my personal auto concierge.
Yes.
I mean, oil change, ceramic coating.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
So think of it like putting a protective layer that's as hard as quartz on top of your paint, your automotive paint.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. So protects from UV damage, protects from bird droppings, scratches, dings, dents.
Chips, like rock chips?
Yep. It can protect against that. But also, if we do a paint correction on it, if we need to before then, it keeps your paint looking brand new.
Mm-hmm. That was
for a really long time.
That was appealing to me. I'm guessing that maybe if it's me and I'm looking at this, what am I going to use you for? Detailing.
Yes, that is one of our more popular menu items.
One of your more popular menu items.
Yeah.
And so tell me about that.
So with in the car business, most of my time was spent detailing cars. Mm-hmm. So I have over 10 years of experience in doing that, to the point where now I'm, training other people on how to do that. So I'm at like 80% owner, 20% operator now. Yeah, so still kind of having, like, I got to go out in the field today. We're detailing a boat. My guy's never done one, so I got to show him how to do it. But that is our most popular menu item. I mean, interior, exterior, engine bays. I mean, you name it. If it's got wheels or if it goes on water, we can detail it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the other thing. So I'm like, okay, we are mobile auto care, but boats are mobile. Mm-hmm. Boats have interiors. Yep. Boats need detailing. And so I love that.
Yep.
I love that. I mean, I didn't even think about that until you just mentioned it.
Yep. Boats, RVs, all that stuff.
Very good. And so what kind of habits make you successful? When you're self-employed, especially, we talked about this, when you're an entrepreneur, and also sometimes when you're a business person, mm-hmm. and your style versus a Kevin style, it's like bing, 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 bing.
Yep.
Everything's like, okay, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Yep. How do you bring that in to make sure that your day is as productive as you want it to be?
I am extremely boring to the outside onlooker because I do the same thing every single day.
Okay.
Every single morning, I should say.
All right, tell me about that. What's that routine look like?
I call it my Hulk Hogan routine. I wake up, I take my vitamins, I read my Bible, I say my prayers. And from there, take my dog out, get all that ready. And my wife and I are sharing a car currently because now I'm expanded and now my work truck is with somebody else.
Okay.
So I'll take her to work and then I come home, and before I head out into the field, before I meet with somebody, I just kind of sit at my international headquarters, which is currently my kitchen table.
Uh-huh. Yeah, of course.
And get on my laptop and just kind of look at, with both businesses, what do we have to take care of? What do we have, in the hopper? What do we got to do to move this thing forward? So I always try to say, how can I get 1% better mm-hmm. every single day in either business, but also personally, mm-hmm. As a husband, as a father? Mm-hmm. How can I do all of that stuff to get just 1% better every day? I'm not trying to move the needle all the way into the red every single day. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to move the needle one little click mm-hmm. each and every single day. And having that discipline and that consistency over time is going to beat out somebody who hits the ground running and is kind of, I call them bottle rockets. They pass people twice, once on the way up, once on the way back down, type of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, routine is key.
Yep.
Routine, systems, processes.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of checklists. As long as my checklist doesn't follow to the next day and the next day and the next day.
Yes.
I tend to prioritize my checklist. So, that you're accomplishing something, which is super important. So as a business owner, someone who's looked up to, who people depend on, how would you define leadership?
Servanthood. So I have a team of 3 guys right now. Mm-hmm. And my top priority every day with Invictus is, these guys need work. that's how I serve them. I pay them on a commission basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach them how to upsell and do all that stuff,
Nice.
help them make a
Yeah.
little bit more to their paycheck. But how can I serve these guys? By making sure that they can provide for themselves, and eventually, none of them have family yet, but eventually their families,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of looking at that. So I look at that, and then also, hey, what's going on with them personally? How can I be sensitive to that? How can I serve them in any way to make, whether they stay with me or not, when they leave me, they're better because of their time here.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So if there was one person, and this could be someone professional, personal, past, present, if there was one person you'd love to spend time with, whether it was as a mentor or just to have coffee and pick their brain, who would that be?
Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of people.
I know that's hard.
That's tough.
I know. I love that question because some people say, well, it might be a family member. It might be, my grandfather who I learned so much from, or my mom who,
Well, Grandpa would definitely be one of them. So he passed away 10 years ago, and that was before I had any of this, and he was a farmer. He was a business owner as well.
Yeah.
So was able to retire from all of that, investing in
Mhm.
some companies and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So he wasn't a dummy when it came to that type of stuff either. So
Yeah.
being able to pick his brain on what I'm doing and being able to hear, because he was always giving me advice anyway.
Of course. Some will even go back to like the Shark Tank crew. If I could just, pick the brain of Mark Cuban, I'm like, so reach out and see if he'll have a conversation with you.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. So, before it's time to wrap up, if you could go back to your younger self, what would you say? I don't care if it was when you were a teenager or 20s. What would you say to your younger self?
Things get a little bumpy, but we're okay. And
It's gonna
just
be fine.
Yep. Regardless of what happens, understand that that we make it, and that regardless of what happens, you're going to be all right. And just keep pressing forward, no matter what. It makes you a lot tougher because you decided to keep moving forward regardless of what happens.
Yeah. Isn't that right? I
Yeah.
call that failing forward.
Yep.
It's so important, especially when so much goes on. We all have our bumps.
Yes.
We have our peaks and our valleys and our successes and our failures. But as long as we're focusing forward and failing forward,
For sure.
then we're all going to be fine. Right?
Yep.
Thank you, Bret Stephens, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
So our listeners can find you probably where I went to, Invictus Mobile Auto Care.com.
Yep.
Right? And then if they wanted to just call or text, what number would they call or text?
402 603 1072.
Okay, perfect.
That is our business line. You can call or text that number.
Got you. And thanks for taking time. I know
Thanks
you've
so
got
much for
things to
having me.
do, and I appreciate that. Guys, that is a wrap. Thank you for joining High Trust Professionals. I'm your host, Lynette Arrasmith. Hey, let's connect on social media. I would love for you to like, comment, share. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and let's not forget TikTok. See you next time.